Hello, this is Brandon Boren, and welcome to my critical stage analysis video for Game Systems Integration Week 3. My main task this week was to implement the functionality of all of the things here in the level that Michael Sabino created, our sewer/shower underground level. We tried to include as many of the mechanics in the game as we could, with the rock pile working to pick up rocks, and be able to throw them correctly, as well as including some wire cutters here in the level, which right now we cannot pick up because we start off the level with them. We just had those in there for testing purposes. The glass also damages the player whenever his shoes aren't equipped, as well as these button doors here that we have to open, and we implemented those by using the array that Corey created last week here with our button doors having the different game objects and scripts attached to the buttons in the doors that open each other. We also had here the shower scene, included some of this broken glass, then a key card, so that we had a key card door here, and now we have the main feature of the maze, or of the level, I'm sorry, is a maze. We did this to kind of occupy the player, give them a little bit of critical thinking that they have to do. We included some health packs, bins, so that the player can hide in them, as we plan to have guards patrolling the maze eventually. And on these bins, I did have to go in and make them so that they would properly disable the player. We ran into an issue where the camera would activate on top of the bins, but the player was still active, so we had to make sure that those were. Next, we also had the laser grid power box here in the level, and we decided not to really have the pipes that connect these to the laser grid so visible. The player's been through and had to activate and deactivate enough of these that it's kind of part of the maze to figure out where the grid was. After you disable the grid and come over here, you enter the second maze of the level. Again, just kind of something to give the player a little bit more time to go through the level, investigate and look through different parts of it, trying to find his way out. More bins, as well as health packs. And then once we get to the end of this maze, we have a kickable vent the player has to open and drop down into the solitary level. Here in the solitary, we included a button door to open it, again with the array that Corey had created. And here you can see a little bit more of what makes sense. Some broken glass on the floor with a window frame that was broken out before the player got here. And then a guard down here patrolling this room. Now, the significance of the guard patrolling in this room is that we had included another maze in the room right beside the guard. So the player has to navigate this maze while still, avoiding being detected by the guard and being attacked. Another aspect of this maze is that we have buttons to all 5 of the doors down here, but they don't necessarily open the door that is closest to them. So the player has to avoid the guard, navigate the maze, and find which buttons open which doors, as well as figure out which door leads to the end level. 4 of these don't actually end the level, and they'll have either collectibles or some kind of hints in them to show the player which way to go, and the final door, of course, will end the game. The next thing that I worked on this week was some of the functionality in Cell Block B. We had some issues in Cell Block B with the functionality after implementing a few things, so I went in and corrected that. Some of the tables were causing collider issues, as well as the player is now able to go in and view these notes rather than having to just look at them on the table. They can click, and there is a note panel in our heads-up display that the player is able to actually see these notes whenever they click on them, and they are set to inactive until the player clicks on them, but it just gives them a little pop-up that's a lot more visible than just kind of having to move around the table and look at them. On top of that, we all Michael uh, Lamb did actually also implement something to make it a little bit more realistic. There's no longer broken glass in the kitchen because we really didn't have any reason for there to be. So now the floor is electrified. The player's shoes protect from that electrocution just as though they did the glass, except they degrade now. So if the player has their shoes equipped and it stays on the electrified floor too long, it's going to destroy their shoes, which is going to make it a problem because they won't have anything to protect them from the damage. Um, so I helped to implement that as well as to get everything functional here. And we had another door or another note. I'm sorry, and one here as well as I had to fix this functionality on this table because the collider on it was keeping the player from being able to interact with the note on it. Throughout all of the levels, and this is something that we included new this week, we have these keys that are collectible by the player. They aren't really anything important to the game. They're more of just a secondary uh, objective, so that the player has something to do other than just escape. I think kind of like an achievement kind of thing. The screwable vent I had to get working. Here, the kickable vent at the end, so the player can just push it off the wall. The button puzzle that's here that the hint alludes to back in the kitchen area here. All of that I helped work on as well as did some on my own. The next thing that I helped with was a lot of bugging, or I'm sorry, debugging rather, throughout the weekend. We actually had some issues with lots of, actually several bugs that we came across after everybody got together and included all the work that they've been doing on all the scripts. Some of them clashed and we had to correct them. Uh, so the majority of Saturday and Sunday was spent just debugging and working on level functionality across the whole game and getting everything to work together correctly. Um, so that was my critical stage analysis, and I thank you for watching.